something that you thought that you deserved at the time, but looking back, you realize that you didn't deserve that shit at all? I'll go first. So, here's just one example, because I have a lot of these, but, so I was in a relationship in my early 20s. He was a psycho. It was abusive. In every way that somebody can be abused. He did all of that to me, but the worst was like the psychological abuse was the worst. So one day, it was winter, I remember we were going for a walk, and I had just gotten home from somewhere, and he had let me borrow his CDs. He had a CD case, and he had let me borrow his CD case. We liked the same music, and I think what had happened was when I was driving, I decided to switch the CDs, but because I was driving, his CD case was open, and I had placed the one that was in the radio face down on the slot where the CD goes instead of putting it in the slot, because I was driving. I shouldn't have been like being distracted at all, but it is what it is. And I figured, okay, when I get home, I'll just put it back in, because I don't want to scratch the CDs. Well, I forgot to put it back into the CD case the right way. And when we walked outside to go for the walk, he walked by my car and he saw his CD. And honestly, I understand if you're gonna borrow somebody's shit, treat it with respect, And what should have been a simple, hey babe, like you forgot to put my CD back into the CD case, like I'm OCD, or I love my CDs, this is my collection, just please, if you could just please remember to put it back into the CD case the right way, that'd be great. And I would understand that I felt bad about it regardless, because I felt bad. I didn't want him to think that I was, just not giving a fuck about his CD collection, but that's not how that went at all, because remember, he's a psycho. Remember, he's a fucking psycho. So, the walk was a very long walk. I'm gonna say almost 2 hours, okay? The whole entire time, it was nothing but him berating me about this fucking CD situation. I'm ungrateful. I don't respect people's property. I'm disrespectful. I'm a fuck up. I'm this. I'm that. I practically have to be your goddamn father, teaching you how to be an adult. Da 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 da. And the whole entire time, I'm thinking that I deserve this. That's how brainwashed he had me. That's how lowly he had me thinking about myself. When we got back from the walk, I just remember sitting in the living room and him just still continuing to just go on and on. And by this time, I am fucking exhausted. Exhausted, okay? It never ends. It never ended. And that night, I had to work in the morning. That night, every time that I would try to fall asleep, as soon as I was almost asleep, he would slap me awake again. And I remember specifically he said, if I have to be awake and upset because of you, you have to be awake too. I lost my job because he would do stuff like that often, and like when he would fall asleep, I could finally fall asleep. And I struggled to wake up to even my alarms. Like I was in a really bad spot. But to think that I thought that I actually deserved that was fucking crazy. Never again. Never again. The man that I'm seeing now, I could cry because of how happy I am and how lucky I am now to be with a man that loves me in a way that I have never, ever experienced before. And it is the best thing to happen to me in a really long time. And I'm telling you, if you're younger and you're in a relationship that makes you feel like shit, don't stay. I know codependency is hard to break, but you do not need them. You don't need them. You don't need them at all. In fact, having them in your life is making everything worse for you. Just leave, because I promise you, you will find somebody that will love you the right way. And at that time, if you would have asked me if I would ever find somebody better than him, I would have said, no. Obviously, I smartened the fuck up and I left, and I'll never forget the day that I left. It was like a beautiful, sunny August day, and I will never forget the day that I left, because there was a crane, there was like a blue herring that followed my car the whole entire way down the dirt road of me leaving the house, all the way down. And I swear to God, that blue crane, it flew with me a lot, but on that day, it felt special. It felt like the universe being like, you're free. And that's when my life really began, was when I left that relationship. So yeah, fun times, I'm so glad that shit is over.